Hello everyone and welcome to Claret and Booze and welcome to my daily ramble. I hope you're all well. Hope you're all still feeling chipper with our recent sort of upturn, not so much in form, but in entertainment over the last few games. It's been, it's made most of us feel a little bit more uplifted, although some would have you believe that it's never been any different. But we're going to go on to talk about that before looking at Liverpool on the weekend and trying to establish how we think that we're gonna fare against Liverpool in the EFL Cup. Can we go further? Can we get in the semi-finals? Before we go there, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're on the march to 10k. Don't cost anything. Still a large portion of people that watch our videos are not subscribers, so please do if you can. Might be because you ain't got Google accounts. It's free to sign up, free to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget, drop a like and also drop a comment on this video. I always read all the comments anyway. I don't always have time to reply to them all because I just don't. You know, it's we're all busy guys, but every single comment I read. But this one in particular, I'm going to be taking, I'm paying very careful attention to. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today? Well, I've been sort of quite quiet since the weekend, sort of enjoying life as a West Ham fan. You know, like I said, two very relaxing performances, good results, 5 goals in 2 games, no goals conceded, but most importantly, far improved performances with necessary tweaks in the way that we play. And I've really enjoyed it. And I know that because it's just a way of the world on West Ham Twitter especially, I've blocked most people that tend to sort of push my buttons, so I don't see what they're saying, but I can only imagine they're coming out with the same thing, you know, which is what they do. They weaponise a win against people that were once negative or are still negative against David Moyes. You know, they kind of use that as a stick to beat people with, which is very odd. Like I've said before, it's quite a natural reaction to be angry at a defeat, but it's a bit weird to use a defeat against other fans. I understand if you're Moyes in and you've been fed up listening to the Moyes out narrative from certain sections of the fan base, you know, moaning every time we lose or every time there's a bad performance. I get being frustrated, but I don't understand why, if you're such a positive fan and you're so happy with things at the moment, why you can't just be happy that things might be starting to look up. You know, why insist that divide that there is between fans at the moment is maintained? Now, Sean Whetstone was on he does his More Than Just a podcast on Mondays, and he reflected on a poll that he ran a month or so ago where it was basically vastly Moyes out. So he ran a standard Moyes in, Moyes out poll, and it was heavily Moyes out. And he's run that poll again. He ran it after the Freiburg game, and even then, it was still around about 40% said that they would want Moyes to go, even if he won a trophy and got Champions League. That's how divided this fan base is, okay? And there isn't too much that you can do about that. And the only thing that can heal this is time. If performances were to continue going down the same route, people would slowly start to feel better. But I'll tell you what will prevent that from happening. It's like the Brexit effect, where you've got one side attacking the other and trying to ram a narrative down someone else's throat. All you're going to do is back people into a corner and they will stop listening. And, you know, because you're effectively calling people idiots for ever doubting the great Moyes. Whereas nobody's been idiots. Like I said on the show that I did last week, you've got very, very good reason to want Moyes out. Like I said, you know, we'd played 85 games since the start of last season. 55 games. We'd lost a ridiculous amount of them. I think it was 26, something like that. We'd drawn 10. And there was about 19 wins now with Wolves. We'd conceded 85 goals in that time. So 85 goals in 55 games. And this season, it was 30 goals in 17 games now. So there's good reason. And the football's been terrible. There's been no entertainment. So for people to all of a sudden go, oh, you guys are idiots forever doubting him. No, we had good reason. We was in a 35-game relegation battle last year, you know, and a lot of people, it's taken a lot of people that are now Moyes out. They're not like me. I've been Moyes out for ages. A lot of people only recently turned. You know, go back as far as 6 months. It takes a lot for some people to turn, and it's going to take an awful lot for those people to turn back again. They're going to need a sustained period of things having changed just like they needed an extended period of shit before they altered their mindset. That's kind of what they needed. So what I don't understand is now we've had 2 good performances, not perfect performances, by the way. I think most people say that I went overboard on the Freiburg game because they said Freiburg was a crap opponent. My angle was I thought we made them look crap, but the majority of people say no, Freiburg were crap. Fine, have it your way. So Freiburg were crap, but we were good in that one. And then we played Wolves. Similar sort of thing. People are saying Wolves were crap, not as good as what they expected. But again, I thought that was a really good performance. I gave Moyes props for that, because he's changed tact. Whether that's him that's done that or whether it's an outside influence, which is, I'll be honest with you, what I believe. I do think that after Fulham, there would have been words. He would have had to have explained himself, particularly not just because of the result, but because of his comments leading up to that game as well, where he was coming out in a negative manner saying, we're not good enough for top 6. And the board would have been listening to that going, we've spent almost $500 million, Dave, and then going out and getting battered 5-0 in a submissive fashion. So I do think it's from an outside influence, but nonetheless, David Moyes is on board with it, and he looks like he's happy. He looks, surely he's going to be happy if we're winning. It looks like he's working closer with Heitinger now. You can see he's moved from the back bench more to the front now. He's sort of up front and central. So hopefully he's leaning on people around him an awful lot more. That's the way it looks from the outside. We're seeing more cooperation, visible cooperation between Moyes and Steiten. We have done for the last 2 games. Before kick-off, you've seen them talking to each other, which all points to good things. It does. But like I said, you just need to give people time. We've had 2 good games. Not great, not mind-blowing. They feel like it because we've been watching so much shit for such a long time. When you've been watching terrible football for such a long time, all of a sudden things change. You get overexcited, and so we should. And I don't want to stick a pin in this. I don't want to bring the excitement levels down. I don't. What I'm trying to do is try and get some sort of sensibility back into this argument because, and some people might say that's rich coming from me, but as I go back to, if you go back to the poll that Sean Whetstone ran, the 2 polls that he ran, people are still Moyes out massively, and they've already said. On his poll, 40% of them, it was a big poll, loads of people voted, that even if he won a cup or he got us into Champions League, they would still want him changed. And I'll be honest with you, that's where I sit. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's... obviously, I don't think it's wrong, but I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But that's where I sit, because the fact of the matter is, I do believe what I've said before. I think we've got a fantastic group of players, and you will never convince me that somebody, a manager of the profile of Unai Emery, could not do more with this group of players than David Moyes can. So I do believe that we need to move on to another stage, even if the end of the season goes well, which I hope it does, because I want next season to be big, which means that we need European qualification. Okay? But then what I've seen as well, I've seen certain fan channels that have come out. And again, this isn't an attack, it's an observation. Okay, when you consider that the fan base is so divided, you've got an awful lot of people that don't like Moyes, that don't want him to stay here. Every time we win a game, they throw it out there. Moyes has got to get a new contract. Well, that kind of takes the shine off of a win for a lot of people. Whether you want to believe that or not, it does. If the first thing that you do, whenever we get a win now coming up, so because we're going to lose some games, then there'll be noise. There'll be noise from the likes of me, if you like, and then we'll win games and we'll have the same argument over and over again. And for channels to come out and start floating this argument, it's like you're sucking the jam out of people's donut. And I don't think that's their intention. I don't, because when you listen to the likes of Sean Whetstone, who we know, look, he openly admits he's compromised because I know he likes to call other people who are not compromised, like me, conspiracy theorists, because we're not affected by anyone. You can be sure when you tune into Claret and Booze and many, many other channels that all you're doing is you're talking to a fan that is unaffected by anyone else. He's not having a narrative forced. He's not being told to peddle this story, that story. Whether you believe in us, whether we're right or wrong, you're getting our honest opinion. That's what happens every single time. Okay? But Sean Whetstone is compromised 100% because he says what he's told to say. And I don't think he's on his own. I don't. And, you'll see that. You'll see that. You'll notice a trend. When David Sullivan releases a story, when we've had a few bad results, to TalkSport to say that David Moyes is not going to have his contract renewed, everyone jumps on that. Certain instances, certain news outlets, channels, they jump on that. And it's kind of like they pile in. But then when David Sullivan decides to reel it back and be positive, all of a sudden these same people, they start kind of piling on the love for Moyes and the counter argument. And I just find it a little bit weird. And some of the videos that I've seen this week, I've got to be honest, it kind of feels like grooming. It does. It feels like grooming to a degree. It's like people are completely non-committal as well, because one of the what attracted me to YouTube, because I watched YouTube long before we started this channel, and what attracted me to YouTube was it was a welcome relief, a break from the mainstream media, which we know is, narrative led from above. There's outside influences. They get told what angle to take on the story, and that's what we get fed. Well, the good thing is when you're looking at a fan that is completely and utterly kind of there's no control measures over us. We kind of say what we feel. You're kind of hearing at least what that guy thinks or what that girl thinks. That was the attraction for me. You're getting honesty, which is the main thing. And I just feel like some of that's being lost a little bit. I do. I feel like it's kind of creeping into, podcasts and fan channels and stuff like that. I feel like you're getting the same shit that you used to get from the mainstream media. You're starting to get that fed to us on here as well. It is like grooming, like the main man Sullivan, sparks a narrative, and then his little minions go and start peddling it. They start peddling it, and like I said, with the other thing as well, I think it's really important if you're running a YouTube channel and you're talking about a big topic to give your opinion. You have to give your opinion. You can't be non-committal. I understand why people are non-committal, because it enables them to flip both ways. So you can ride the wave. So as things are positive, you can go being positive again. As things are negative, you can be negative again because you're on the fence. You haven't committed, Like I say, we're just like any other fan. We're completely and utterly honest. You'll never get any different on here. I'm pretty black and white. I'll tell you exactly what I think at all times, as will everyone else on this channel. And I just think it's just a bit of a shame that some of these channels have taken that route. And like I say, some of the videos that I've watched, this week, it has felt, I'm going to say the word again, it's felt like kind of Moyes grooming. It's kind of little, really sort of expertly delivered, narratives to sort of say how grateful we should actually be about David Moyes. And I just think I'll be honest with you, I think it stinks. I think it stinks. I'm not gonna name names, because a lot of these, I like them all. I like all the guys. I like all the channels, and they're all good and they're all brilliant in their own right. I just feel like sometimes people just need to move away from trying to be. Don't be compromised. That's what I'm trying to say. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Say what you think, And also, doing that as well, so saying, taking that angle and saying, I think that David Moyes, should, basically what you're saying is probably should be given a new contract. What you're doing is you are sucking the jam out of a lot of fans' donuts that were very happy with those performances over the weekend. Why can it not be shelved? Why can that conversation, to a degree, not be shelved? I suppose the same could be aimed at me. Every time we lose, I'm Moyes out. Well, basically, it's not true, because I'm always Moyes out. Win, lose or draw, I'm always Moyes out. That's the angle that I take. But to flip from one extreme to the other and do a video like that where people are happy, or they're trying to be happy, while they've got people jabbing at them all the time, because that's kind of what we're dealing with at the moment. It is a reflection of modern society at the minute. It really is. It's kind of... if you haven't got, what is deemed, the right opinion, you're demonised. Your opinion is you're a horrible person. It's kind of the same in society as what it is in football. It's all leaking in. It's leaking into the sport that we once loved in our fan base, and it is a shame. Everyone's opinion should be valid. Everyone's opinion should be valid. You shouldn't, and it's good to have a different voice as well. I know an awful lot of people do not like this channel. I get it. I do get it. But surely you accept that it's healthy to have everyone's argument or everyone's opinion argued, represented, Surely it's good to have every side represented. Otherwise, all you've got on West Ham social media or whatever social media is a fucking echo chamber. That's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for anyone. At the end of the day, we don't affect anything anyway. The club don't listen to us. Sullivan don't care if I put a donkey on his head. It don't mean a thing. It doesn't mean a thing. Nothing's going to change. Sullivan will do whatever he wants to do, and so will David Moyes. But in terms of kind of just, I don't know. It's like people demonise you if you are not a certain way. And like I said, we are brave on this channel, and it is going to set us up for a fall. It has done plenty of times before. Never sets us up for a fall. But at the end of the day, when you go on a little good run, which we've had already, bear in mind, I started selling Moyes out mugs when we were almost top of the league. We'd just beat Brighton and Chelsea. But I was so certain that it wasn't going to go well. It has started to go better than what I believed. I'll hold my hands up. Because I didn't believe that David Moyes had it in him to do what he's done in this last 2 games. I thought he was so stubborn that he would never, ever, ever change tact. And change tact he has. And that's another thing that people have been trying to say. They're trying to say that nothing has changed. I mean, how fucking disingenuous can you be? Nothing has changed between how we tackled Freiburg and Wolves compared to how we played Burnley, if you like, or Fulham, or Spurs in the first half. I mean, Spurs is a perfect illustration between Moyes' plan A and Moyes' plan B. In the first half, it was low block, sit in your own half and just absorb as much as you can. That is what we've been calling Moyes ball, this new low block style. And I know everyone hates that term low block, but I'm going to keep using it because, it's just it's an easy way of describing the dog shit style that it was. That was a perfect illustration. Terrible in the first half, better in the second half. You know, we went after them in the second half, pressed them higher. That's what we've been doing. It isn't so much the formation on paper. Well, it isn't the formation on paper at all. It's the instructions that the team are enforcing. And the fact of the matter is, what we hate, in some what we call Moyes ball, is very passive, very deep, sitting in your shape, no pressing whatsoever, never press. Just have a very, very rigid shape that makes it very difficult for the opposition to pass through. Loads of bodies behind the ball. And then effectively, we was playing hoof ball. We've spoken about it for ages. Go back and look at the stats from Aguirre in the 4 games before Freiburg. The amount of long balls he was launching every single game. That's what we were doing. We were becoming a long ball team. So it was becoming even more unpalatable to us. It was. Even though we were scraping results, it was terrible. It was dreadful. But what we've done since then against Freiburg is, first of all, out of possession. We've gone from being a very static, passive team to being aggressive out of possession. We're hunting in packs. So straight away, when you deploy that mentality into your team, you're making them more aggressive, which means you're going to do more when you're on the ball because you're not letting the other team have it. You're pressing them high, you're pressing them in the middle, you're pressing them when you're deep as well. Far better. Also, we weren't launching long balls. No long balls were being launched. We were building play from deep. And the reason we were able to build play from deep was because we had the likes of Paqueta with a free roll. People are saying, look how good he done out on the left wing now. Have a look at the map of his assists. Every single one of them. 3 assists, all from the centre circle. Lucas Paqueta had a free roll. He weren't shackled to the left wing. He basically could do whatever he wanted. He was over on the right wing at one point. You know, he was floating around, controlling the game, orchestrating the game, which is exactly what you want from Lucas Paqueta. Every single one of his assists came from a central area, not from the left wing. So he wasn't playing as a left winger. He had a free roll. His starting position was out on the left. James Ward-Prowse playing in a more advanced position. Souček sitting deeper. James Ward-Prowse up there pressing with Bowen. You know, means Kudus is freed up a little bit more because we've got more bodies forward, so Kudus is flourishing. So much changed in the way that we played. So much. Not so much in formation or team selection, all about team instructions. Playing on the front foot, stretching the opposition, as opposed to sitting there and just waiting to throw a counter punch, which is what we was doing before. You know, no longer are we waiting for a corner, for James Ward-Prowse to whip it in, for Souček to come and save the day. We shouldn't need our day saving. And I'll say it again, with the players that we've got, we've seen it now in the last 2 games, we should never be low blocking against any opponent, ever. It should never happen. So we'll see what he does against Liverpool coming up. I'm really hopeful that we are going to go at them. I don't know whether we'll win because look, Liverpool are a great team. They are. So you can never be sure that whether you're going to win or not. But I am hopeful if we do throw caution to the wind and get at them, because we've got some great players. And I do think that David Moyes will field a strong team. And there's a chance that Liverpool could field a weakened team. So it could be the perfect storm for us. Liverpool have got Arsenal to look towards at the weekend. They're in a title battle. We're not. We've got a nice, safe place in the league at the moment. We can afford to gamble on a couple of games. So it is really positive at the moment. But going back to what I was saying earlier on, just give people time. If you want people to change their mind on David Moyes, then hope that the good style of play will be sustained. Then people will change. But there's less chance of them changing if you've got a constant barrage of people calling them fucking idiots forever once doubting the man. All that happens then is people just double down. They triple down. Because then it becomes a battle for no reason. So I just think that while things are looking good, maybe if you do genuinely want people to change their mind on Moyes, stop trying to maintain a divide when things are good. That's all I'm trying to say. But look, that was it from me. I hope that made sense. I think it did. I'll watch it back before I send it out this time. Make sure I'm not a monster robot. And we'll speak to you again soon. We'll speak to you after the Liverpool game tomorrow. I hope we win. I'm predicting 2-1 West Ham. I'm going to be positive. Come on, you Irons. Be lovely to beat them.